Shanti. I thought it'd be nice to talk about virtues today because virtues make the world a much happier place if everyone was sweet and kind to each other and there was none of the negatives, there would be no agendas, there would only be a civilization of humanity that wasn't so possessive and aggressive, and there would be a lot more unity in the world, and unity is really created by man's virtues becoming more attuned to the world outside rather than being ruled by the world outside. So call this an all-virtuous state, a self-sovereign or self-sovereignty, where you've got all your controlling power back and you've got all your rulership of the self back again. So that's where we believe we've come from. We've gone from a state of rulership to a state of being ruled. And very often it's ruled by what others are doing or what others are saying, and sometimes even what others may be thinking. So these are the three things that virtues affect: our thoughts, words and actions, and they get processed in the form of feelings which go into the subconscious mind. So you've got the subconscious mind, which is full of a lot of stuff, which is an accumulating of baggage of negativity that's gone in over a process of time, and that tends to flow from the subconscious into the conscious mind. And deeper than that, you've got the unconscious mind, which is where your true nature, how you enjoy to be, is. As in love, we all love to be loved and love to love, and peace, happiness, power. So in actual fact, if I'm intolerant with someone or something, then I'm actually losing power, because I'm actually losing stability, stillness, inner strength, and that energy is being used in a negative way, which will make me more of an unhappy person. People aren't normally happy naturally these days. They normally have to have something to do or a reason to be happy, otherwise they get bored. So this boredom comes because the person no longer wants to be, or is enjoying to be, with their own self. And so when we look at something that people call like tolerance, I could be tolerant externally but not tolerant internally, and that's okay, because that's why we're here. They might be grinding their teeth with intolerance and tolerating everything but not allowing it to come through the mouth in the form of anger, and even to the point of view of violence. When man creates this habitual way of reacting to things of intolerance, he's being controlled by his anger. And there's a little story about that where one of Buddha's disciples was very angry with him, and he was shouting at Buddha because he'd felt that some of the teachings were hard to follow, hard to do, so he was shouting at him, and Buddha just remained quiet. And another one of his disciples said, "That was quite amazing, the way that brother was so angry, and yet you didn't respond or react in any way." And Buddha said, "Well, he had anger, he was trying to get rid of it, and I didn't want it, so I left it with him." And so it's quite interesting that when we react to another person's way of doing something, how it colours our own self, and vice versa when we do that to others. if I get angry with you and you remain stable, still and unaffected as much as you can, then you're the stronger one. You're the one that has a better character. So this kind of character building is quite hard to find these days, because people's character is being moulded by the outside world, whether it be people, whether it be situations, or whether it be my own self. You know, maybe I'm just not happy no matter what I've got. You know, maybe there's everything's available to me, but I'm looking at what's not here rather than what is here. You know, the other side of the grass appears to be greener, but it's actually can never be, because when I get to that greener side, I'm going to take me with me, and once again I'll get used to what I've got and look for what I haven't got. So Buddha also said enough is a feast. So there's plenty of reasons to be cheerful, but the most and the biggest reason to be cheerful is that you've found or finding your true self. And you wouldn't want to find anyone else once you've found your true self, because your true self is your best friend in the world. It's kind of like we've broken away from the true connection with the true self, and we've taken on a false connection which we call a role conscious self. So it's kind of like two selves really. There's one inside, and the one outside is stealing the show or already stolen the show. It can be retrieved, but we have to just go behind where there's no name, no form, where there's no gender, where there's no religion, where there's no belief system, where I'm actually not overthinking too much and feeling the emergence of my purest state of love. So when I start to do things under the influence of love, I need to know a few things. It's important to know a few things. That love breaks down into many, many qualities of gentleness, kindness, cooperation, lightness, fearlessness, peace, selflessness, because there's no conditions, because I'm not doing everything for a reason. The only reason I'm doing it is under the influence of pure love. So in actual fact, although we think we do many things for many people, in actual fact we do things for our own self. And when you're connecting with love, you're going inside into a more introvert state. So it's a very peaceful, quiet space, and you're not thinking too much about what you've got to do, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and then what's after that, like the job list. We used to have one person that used to practice meditation, and he used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and make out his job list. And he should have been meditating, but he was so connected to doing horses for courses. Everyone's got their right to do what they want to do, how they want to do it as well. And he made his job list, and by the time that it was 4:45, when the meditation is normally finishing, he's fast asleep because he'd tired his mind out. So it's the mind that gets tired, and when we sit and just think about the workload of what's got to be done, then that creates a lot of tiredness, And then when it's time to do those things and we get caught in the sense organs of the body, the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, touch, when we're under the influence of those, the soul, the being, will get very tired and it will need to sleep more, and the quality won't necessarily be very good, so we won't necessarily be resting. And rest is important to us because it's the mind that needs rest. The body doesn't need that much, really, but because the mind is thinking so many thoughts of doing, and imagination as well, and all the stories that go on with what could happen if then the mind gets exhausted. The amount of thoughts take all the energy, and therefore when we try to switch off, we use and choose sleep to do that. But it's not so easy, so therefore it can be a restless sleep, because what you want to do is at the end of every day is actually put a full stop on the past so that the yesterday doesn't flow into tomorrow, so that you're actually creating a break, a barrier, a dam if you like, where nothing can pass from the previous day. So if anyone's done you a wrong the previous day, it's forgiven the next day. Forgiveness is a major part of love. And love needs all these things to work for it, so that love can be in its full, we say love full, and love is full when all these things are known about and we're aware of it. There's a kind of a mindfulness about it, where the mind's actually being trained to come under the influence of love. So if it does pull here and there when you're doing things and it's that you're losing your attention, then you try to gently bring it back with a lot of patience. Patience, another part of love. And if it doesn't, then you just observe it as it's going towards what it wants to do, and I just stay doing what I need to do. So you've got the mind is like a child, or it's like a wild horse, so it will pull here and there, but where you are is very still, very stable, very serene, and very powerful as well. It's surprising how powerful you actually are. People would be amazed if all their energy was to come back to its source point, and no longer was there any energy going outside, and you were working just under the influence of that power. And that power, with all the virtues intact, is called a divine state, so that divinity is performing the actions. You actually don't even feel you're doing anything. You feel like divinity is working for you. So much of the trepidation and anticipation comes from the thought, and a lot of fear is created of, can I do it? Will I be able to achieve that? Will I be able to achieve this? But what you're doing is bringing it back to the still point of power through introversion. So you're not the sense organs, you're the user of the mind and the intellect, and you're the being that has to remain in a state of being, manifesting peace and love through the actions. There are 36 virtues, basically. Some count more because they include other things, generosity, lightness, patience, tolerance, accommodation or adjustment, all these things. When you actually are writing all these things down of all the qualities and the virtues you can think of, and you go inside towards your inner state of being, what we call soul consciousness, then you're actually, it's as if you're drinking the nectar, the essence of all those qualities. The consciousness is like a sponge. It absorbs so much, even the atmosphere that you live in, it's absorbing that all the time. And sometimes a person can go like in a trance-like state where they're actually not thinking at all, but in a trance-like state because they're so perplexed at the absorption that's taking place. And that's when you need to become very alert and awake to who and what you are as a peaceful, powerful, pure, loving being, and start to work under the influence of those virtues, yourself, which is your true self in a manifest state. And it's a very joyful state of being, because you're no longer being affected by the karmas, the jobs and the workload, because you're affected by yourself. That was always the problem. Once the divine self becomes, it goes to sleep, then it's going to be affected, and there's nothing really to stop it, because the only thing that can stop it is a stronger awareness of your qualities to stop the effect of the outside. So, when a person is at their lowest ebb, they kind of do research into why someone's saying this thing or what their intentions were, and that's kind of like increasing the effect on our own consciousness. And once again, you need to become very alert and very awake to your true self and your true nature, so that it starts to remove that effect. Someone may never change their opinion of you, and if the effect remains, then obviously I'm always going to feel that they feel that about me. But it's all to do with feelings. So by going inside, becoming very alert, very awake to my true self, and having faith in that self again. If someone says something to me that's a very critical thing, and I start to react, and I become very alert at that moment, I'm very awake to that moment, and change it as quick as that, so I reconnect, because I've become disconnected. That's why there's an effect, and so I change the effect as quick as that. The quicker, the better, so that when they've said, this is a great opportunity, as soon as they've said something negative to me, that I remove it as quick as that by connecting to becoming awake, becoming alert, becoming aware of what my true nature is, and having faith in my own peace, my own power, my own love, my own joy, my own truth. So that's really the way that virtues counters everything. And there, as I say, there are many virtues, but you only have to connect to the main ones really to get all the other ones activated, so that when I'm tolerating something and it's affecting me and it's gradually grinding me down, I go inside, become awake, become alert to my true nature of the power of love that's inside, and I connect to that. I only need to connect to that for a couple of seconds in a very pure and powerful way, that I am love. I am the power of love. Say it very slowly to yourself, obviously not out loud because they might think you're a bit... But just say it inside to yourself, and that counters that. The sooner the better, because otherwise that seed will get sown. I'll start to think about it, and my self-respect, self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence will spiral downwards. So, when people say love is the answer, love heals everything, it's really true. It's really true, but it's not necessarily being used. And whenever you get, it's an ideal testing ground, really, like an obstacle course, really, and the bigger the obstacles that come your way, the better for you, because the more you can use your power to actually remove it. But just remember that, just remember to become alert, awake, and create a very strong awareness in your mind's eye. I am love. I am the power of love. And you start to sow your own seeds inside, and they're the ones that you'll feel. So the feelings that other people are having about you won't go in. So I hope this was valuable to you. We'll talk more about virtues because it's a journey, and it's a journey that we're all going to win together.